Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're very kind. I will be speaking this evening about something that's very dear to my heart. It's not really a canned speech. It's not something that I've memorized. I don't speak from notes. I speak from my heart about something that I work on each and every day in my own life. It is about a process that has been a growth thing for me. The idea of there being levels of awareness, ordinary human awareness, and higher levels of awareness are something that you can do a lot of reading about and you can study spiritual literature. But until you begin to put it into practice and live it each and every day, it really just is something that is distant and more academic. What I will be attempting to do here this evening is to share with you some very specific principles that I have studied and practiced with my family, with my wife particularly, and our children, and my extended family. I am not here to proselytize for any particular point of view. I don't represent any religion. I'm not organizing anybody or encouraging anybody to join anything. I have never been a joiner. I don't pay any memberships anyplace. I really don't think of myself as a very organized person, period. I think a truth is a truth very often until you organize it. And then it becomes a lie very often because the organization becomes more important than the truth that we're attempting to teach. So this is not really about getting people to agree with me. When I was back in school, I had professors who used to say, if you want to understand poetry, or if you want to understand a great novel, or if you want to understand a great movie or enjoy it, what you have to do is practice what he called willingly suspending your disbelief. So that when you go into a movie theater, for example, you will see a two-dimensional screen. And you don't walk in and say, well, that's just a two-dimensional screen with a lot of images that are being projected from the rear of the room from a projector, and I'm not going to allow my emotions to be impacted or affected by a silly little thing like a projector. If you did that, you would not be able to enjoy the movie. What you do is you willingly suspend your disbelief. You just let go of any of your doubts, and you just allow yourself to be entertained for a couple of hours. And you say, like, all right, Nicolas Cage can exchange faces with another man, all right? That's a possibility. I'll buy it, all right? And they can go home and convince their wives, even though they've just exchanged faces and nothing more, which was always a surprise to me, that this thing's really happening. But what I'd suggest to you is that if you argued with that and said, oh, this is ridiculous, or this is just not possible, that you wouldn't be able to enjoy the movie. And I suggest that you take what I'm speaking about here this evening. Some of it will conflict with some of the things that you have been conditioned to believe in, some of the things that you may hold very dear to your heart. And I'm not here to challenge them. I'm not here to get you to change your point of view. I'm not here to get you to join some organization that I think will get you to be more enlightened. I'm just offering you what comes from my heart, principles that are involved in being able to reach higher and higher and higher levels of awareness, so that things like miracles and being able to attract into your life what has been missing up until now, the ability to heal yourself of perhaps diseases or processes of difficulty that you've never been able to handle before, the capacity to be able to create the kind of relationship that you would like to have, the ability to even get a job that perhaps you haven't been able to get, or to raise your level of prosperity, whatever it might be, to sell your home if you've been having difficulty doing that. That there is an energy in the universe. There is something that is in each and every one of us. And it's also in the universe. And you are connected to it in a way that is often perceived to be aloof from us, because it's invisible, because it's in the world of what we call spirit, the world that is not material. And I would like to suggest that you suspend your disbelief, allow yourself to know that you're not a human being here having a spiritual experience, but that it's the other way around, that you're a spiritual being having a human experience. And the quality of your human experience is really much more dependent upon how you use this invisible intelligence and how you connect to this energy. And once you have an awareness that you can never be separate from it, that you and it, and whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you call it God, if you call it divine presence, if you call it soul, if you call it spirit, if you call it consciousness, if you call it Christ consciousness, you can call it Buddha consciousness, you can call it Louise, you can call it Edna, you can call it Ralph. Alan Watts once said that you can't get wet from the word water. It isn't the word that allows you to experience water. And whatever it is that you call it is something that is distinct from what it is. When I was walking in here this evening on these beautiful grounds, I saw some people looking at the flowers and the different plants that were growing. And as they were looking at them, there was one person who was obviously an expert, a botanist of some kind, and he was trying to explain to each one of the people what the name was, the technical name for each one of the flowers. And I was watching that and thinking, it doesn't matter what you call it. Can't you enjoy? Look at that thing. It's orange, and it just came out of nowhere. There's something very profound about enjoying it and being there with it, rather than being obsessed with labeling it. There was a very famous Danish theologian. His name was Søren Kierkegaard. He once said that once you label me, you negate me. Once you place a label on me and put me into a compartment or a category of some kind, I must then become what it is that you have labeled me to be. So that we want to be able to live our lives and to practice principles of higher awareness without being so consumed with what I call ordinary human awareness. And ordinary human awareness is just the recognition or the belief system that I am a human being. Maybe I'm having a spiritual experience, I'm not quite sure. But higher human awareness, what is sometimes in the East called Siddhi awareness. In the West it's been called higher consciousness or Christ consciousness. There's many names for it. But when you get beyond just knowing yourself as this body and this personality and this thing that you inhabit, and begin to realize that who you are is that which was never born and can never die. When you recognize your eternal self. And that's what this program is really about. It's really about recognizing the power, the energy, the capacity to be able to do what it says in some of the most holy books that you've ever read, that even the least among you can do all that I have done and even greater things. And that's not just empty words from Holy Scriptures. That's a very powerful lesson that each and every one of us can practice and live every day. What I'd like to suggest to you, and what this program is really about, is that there are higher levels of awareness that are available to us. A level of awareness that allows us to do things like, and it may sound a bit strange, but to manage the coincidences of our lives. To be able to place our attention on what it is that we would like to create for ourselves in our lives. To literally have the power to know that if I think about it, and I keep it there, and I keep that picture firm within me, that there is an energy, a source, a capacity within me that is in the universe, and that is also in me. And that I can use this energy, that I can manage it. There are many ways to get the things that we want for ourselves in our lives. But basically, It all begins with how we